Vice Chair Juan Carlos Prado,
Present.
Councilmember Beatriz Cedrillo.
She will not be here tonight. She let me know that.
Okay. Councilmember Joanny Gillespie. Councilmember Linda Lopez.
Present.
Councilmember Everardo Rodriguez.
I'm here. Thank you.
Councilmember Jennifer Ruiz.
Here.
Councilmember Blair Whitney.
Here.
Youth Councilmember Gabriela Ake.
Present.
Youth Councilmember Citlali Corencita. Okay, back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's time for public comment. Anyone may speak up to 2 minutes on any topic not on the agenda this evening. Note that the council may not discuss or take action on items that are not on the agenda. Do we have any public comment?
If you would like to make a public comment, we would use the raise hand feature now in order to organize any public comments. If you do have a public comment, now would be a good time to raise your hand. Okay. Okay, one moment. We will. Okay. Okay, my apologies. Let me see. Okay, Becca.
Yes, hello, thank you.
You can go ahead now.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate being able to address you this evening. I live on 9th between Spring and Bay, and I did fill out the street survey that went around recently and passed it around to a number of my neighbors. A couple of them also said they filled it out, but there were several things that I just wanted to say that we'd like to have some conversation on, how we might be able to address and further. In regards to having speed bumps in the area, having more street lighting in the area, to having markings on the curbs. People regularly in this area regularly park on the curbs, and we have a lot of blind curbs, and it's very difficult to even make a right-hand turn, let alone a left.
We're having a little trouble hearing you, Becca. If you could speak up. I'm not sure if it's your connection or what.
Okay, sorry. Did you hear the last comment, or should I repeat?
Repeat just the last sentence. That's where I was having trouble.
Yeah, a lot of cars park on the corners, and so it's hard to. They're blind corners. It'd be nice to have markings there. It'd also be nice if they'd be ticketed when they do that. And also cars that are left long term. The sheriff has told me that they do not ticket for cars that are left indefinitely. It'd be really nice to have that addressed. Appreciate any help on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have additional public comment, Jennifer?
Victor, are there any public comments on your end?
Thanks, Jennifer. I don't have any at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Okay, next item are report outs. Supervisors report. Maggie?
Hi, everyone. My name is Maggie Cornejo, and I am a legislative aide to Supervisor Warren Slocum. I have a brief report tonight. I want to talk to you all about the Measure K's investments that we're doing, that the Board of Supervisors has approved for nonprofits in our community. And the first one that was granted was Casa Círculo Cultural, which needed the money for renovations of their new property in North Fair Oaks, which big congratulations to them. I was at the opening and it was great. the kids and the activities that they do is just really fantastic. The other one was Generations United that received a Measure K grant to continue their work to provide academic enrichment at their centers and services like weekly food distributions and mental health counseling to children and their families in Road City and in North Fair Oaks. And the last one is Hispanic Foundation of Silicon Valley that was also granted a Measure K that will support the continuance of the virtual programming for students in District 4 as they transition from the pandemic. And the other item is yesterday, Chair Brooks Esser and myself drove around North Fair Oaks and we visited several locations, but I will let the chair share his experience and let you all know what we talked about, as well as some of the things that we learned along the way. But that concludes my report.
Okay, thanks very much, Maggie. Next up is the County Manager's Report. Justin.
Good evening, everyone. Deputy County Manager Justin Mates. Just a couple of additional heads up in addition to the nonprofit grants that Maggie just mentioned. The board on Tuesday also took a few other resolutions I wanted to highlight for your attention, all of them under the umbrella of recovery assistance. So there were two new programs approved under the SMC Strong umbrella. One of those is $2 million in a small business assistance program. This is a continuation of earlier support programs for small businesses. It's $210,000 grants that are available for any type of small business. There are some criteria. The business has to have been negatively impacted by COVID-19, gross income less than $120,000, and 10 or fewer employees, and also businesses that have not already benefited from some other assistance program. There's a two-step application process. The one is a very simple attestation to eligibility, and then the recipients will be selected randomly from the list of eligible businesses, and then they will complete a more thorough second step application process. The grants will be distributed by proportionate to population across the county. The other program under the SMC Strong umbrella is the Micro Food Business Grant Program. This will be $500,000 in grants to micro food businesses. These are businesses like food trucks, caterers, cottage food operators. The geographic distribution will be similar to the SMC Small Business Assistance Program I just described. These are brand new programs that are still being developed. The funding was just approved for them. So details, if they're not up there already, will be up on smcstrong.org. That website is the website to please let people know. There will be robust outreach associated with these programs, including door-to-door and other sorts of outreach, particularly to the small businesses, which sometimes are not always connected to the chambers of commerce and things like that. The last one I just wanted to highlight for you was the board's initial approval of a new ordinance, the first reading of a new ordinance to opt into the state's micro enterprise home kitchen operations law. And this is a law that allows just what it sounds like, home kitchens to operate commercially without having to satisfy all of the requirements of a commercial operation. It's largely technical process, but it essentially this is a 2-year pilot program where we will have where there will be the ability to apply for these permits to operate a micro enterprise home kitchen. This is only the first reading, so it's not law yet. There will be a second reading in August, but for more information on this, I encourage you all or anyone who might be interested to go to the environmental health website, since it's environmental health that will operate the permitting program. And the website for that is www.smchealth.org/EH. I'll put both that website and the SMC Strong website into the chat for anyone who's interested, or if you know anyone who's interested, please pass along those links.
Okay, terrific. Thanks very much, Justin. Let's see, council members' reports. I will go ahead and kick off. A few things happened in the last month. I attended the Middlefield Road meeting that was held for businesses on June 26th. That was a meeting where we were getting together with the community, kind of identifying the issues that might come up for local businesses as a result of the Middlefield Road construction project. We had, I believe, 6 or 7 business owners in attendance. OCA has done a terrific job in terms of outreach and explaining the potential impact to the businesses, as well as workaround solutions in terms of just creating messaging to the businesses, materials that explain what's going on and what's happening there. I also attended the Casa Securo grand opening on Wednesday, July 14th. If you haven't seen their new quarters, I encourage you to stop by and check it out. It really is a great facility. I met with Ron Gonzalez, who's the president of the Hispanic Foundation of Silicon Valley. Maggie referred to them a little bit earlier. I think many of you are probably familiar with Ron from his time as a county supervisor in Santa Clara, as well as mayor of San Jose. We walked through the programs that the foundation is running to benefit North Fair Oaks, and I actually invited him to present to the council probably after the first of next year. Let's see, a couple other things. I wanted to let people know that the North Fair Oaks Community Festival is coming back next summer. The first meetings are being scheduled. I'll be representing the council on the organizing committee. Those of you who are familiar with the festival, the scale is going to be much smaller this year, but the focus is going to be on featuring local businesses and community groups. So it'll be a much more North Fair Oaks slash community centric event than it has been in the past. And finally, for my own education, as Maggie referred to earlier, we did a ride around the neighborhood yesterday. We stopped in at the Siena Youth Center, which was just terrific, just to see all the kids engaged in a bunch of different activities and the detail that the staff goes through to keep them scheduled, to give them educational assistance during the summertime. We also went into a couple of the local businesses and took a look at some of the areas of the community. So that was very interesting. And finally, I've signed up for the Civics 101 program with the county. It's an 8-week program that features presentations from a variety of county departments. In fact, I believe that Blair completed it a couple of years ago. So thanks very much for the inspiration there, Blair. I'm really looking forward to that. With that, Juan Carlos, do you have a report out for this month?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up and congratulate Justin on his work, and also the businesses that he mentioned that are now eligible, especially the food preparing businesses and the food trucks, because those are the ones who are kind of falling through the cracks as far as the assistance. And last week I had mentioned about the merchants concerned over the remodelization of Middlefield Road and the construction. And I have addressed them this month to see if there's been any change in that regard. And they do feel that there has been more communication to them, particularly the Spanish-speaking business owners on Middlefield Road. So I also want to congratulate the county on those efforts as we move forward with that construction. So that's all I wanted to report in tonight.
Thanks. Thanks very much, Juan Carlos. Next up, Councilmember Lopez. Linda?
Yeah, I just want to report on my ongoing work in getting our Fifth Avenue mural project underway. And Council's going to get a report on that from Kent Mansky at the end of the agenda. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, it's been a lot of work, and it's actually evolving. It's great. Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing that. Councilmember Rodriguez. Ever?
Yes, thank you. I attended the equity forum. What was it, last week, I believe, on the 15th. And it was offered by Shireen Malikafsali, who has been, several times presenting to the North Fair Oaks Council before.
in a different capacity. Now she is the Chief Equity Officer, which is a brand new position that County of San Mateo has created. So this forum was very well attended. Over 130 stakeholders and county employees attended this meeting, which was intended to gather suggestions and talk about how to advance equity all throughout the county, including unincorporated areas. The presentation was recorded, so if anyone is interested, I can share the link to that. And then we are talking with the Siena Youth Center with Hugo Torres, who's the new program director, about bringing back possibly a curriculum that we had developed around the environment and climate change for the kids. This would be having the support of a team from Stanford University. So maybe for the fall, we might be able to provide that for the youth at Siena. And finally, and also related to the Siena Youth Center, they are having a carnival next week on Thursday, July the 29th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Right over at their facility at the Siena Youth Center. And it's also intended to be a fundraiser for the Holy Family Schools in an eighth grade Europe 2 trip that they're, the kids are gathering money. So there's going to be a food sale, a bake sale, games, music, raffles, etc. Lots of fun. So if you have time and money to go to support them, even if you don't have money, but you want to show up, support, by all means. But the kids would get excited. The more money they can gather for their potentially very nice trip to Europe. So that's all I have for now.
That's 11 o'clock on Thursday, the 29th at the Siena Youth Center. Over?
11 to 3, yeah.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Councilmember Ruiz, Jennifer?
I don't have any reports today.
Okay, very good. And Councilmember Whitney?
Oh, I'm unmuted.
There we go.
I hope I was mute the whole time. Probably not. Anyway, it's great to be here at the end of the month. Survived the 4th of July. I actually had 3 fireworks that someone had given me the year before, and they'd sat in my closet for the longest time. And the Friday before the holiday, I said, I'm going to do the right thing and turn them in. I don't want it, because everyone in our neighborhood blows up stuff, and I wanted to be part of the solution. So I went to the North Fair Oaks Sheriff's Substation, and it was unstaffed, but there was a phone number on the door, called it, didn't hear anything. I went down to the Menlo Park Fire Protection District place on Middlefield, like their main thing. And I guess they don't work on Fridays, which is nice, unless it's an emergency. So then I ended up in Redwood City and walked into the police station, and the front door, they gave me dispatch, and it turns out it's a big deal. I had them in a Ziploc bag. And I said, it's just 3 fireworks. I want to turn them in. Don't want to put them in a trash can or a dumpster. And it took a few minutes, but they took them off my hands. And I guess the dispatcher explained it's like a big deal, like it's the bomb squad and all that. And I brought up the suggestion previously, like we should have an amnesty box, but I guess it's complicated. They got to sort it out and see if it's like safe enough to put with other fireworks. You can't just have people putting explosives in a drop box. So it's complicated, but I did the right thing and I felt good about it. And there was no shortage of fireworks in my neighborhood, and they tapered off in the days following the 4th of July, but we got 1 or 2 the other night. Other than that, I think you're going to really appreciate that 101 Citizenship Academy. They took us through the parks. We toured the Maple Street Jail. There's so much about the county that you don't really see. And it was just fun. And plus you get to meet people from all these different communities from Daly City, Burlingame, and they're all just interested in getting involved. So it's a cool program. If anyone's interested, they may still be selecting applicants they do it once a year. It's only 8 weeks, but you get to tour all these departments. It's 2 or 3 hours once a week. That's it.
Yeah, no, I believe you're right, Blair. The county manager is still taking applications for that. Youth Council member Gabriella Aki. Gabriella, do you have a report this month?
No reports for this month.
Okay, and I don't believe we have it. Is it? Excuse me. Is it Lolly with us tonight? Next item on the agenda is number 4, recommendation for 716 2nd Avenue for an off-street parking exception for a residential remodel addition to allow 1 covered parking space and 1 uncovered tandem parking space, where 2 covered parking spaces are required. The presentation is going to be given by Summer Burleson, Senior Planner for San Mateo County Planning and Building Department. Summer, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Esther and council members and county representatives and all those tuning in here. My name is Summer Burleson, and I'm a project planner with the San Mateo County Planning and Building Department. And I am going to share my screen to start this presentation. Is that visible?
Yes, it is.
Great. Okay. So I'm here this evening to make a presentation and to seek a recommendation from the council to the community development director for an off-street parking exception to allow 1 covered parking space and 1 tandem uncovered parking space, where 2 covered parking spaces are required to add a bedroom to an existing 2-bedroom residence. The project site is located at 716 2nd Avenue in North Fair Oaks. Surrounding development includes single-family residences to the north, east, and south, and industrial development to the west on the opposite side of 2nd Avenue. The project proposes to convert living space into a 3rd bedroom, to maintain a 1-car garage on site, and to maintain 2 uncovered tandem parking spaces in the driveway. Here is a site plan of the layout for the property. You can see 2nd Avenue on the left-hand side of your screen here. There's an existing driveway from 2nd Avenue onto the property, and the blue area, shaded area, is the oversized 1-car garage on the property. Here's an image, just a street view of the property currently. So the project scope would propose to bump this area out where you see this existing 1-car garage looking addition. It would bump that out to create an oversized 1-car garage in front here and maintain the existing driveway leading up to it. The oversized 1-car garage is 16 feet by 19 feet in size. You can see that here in these images of the floor plan layout. And the left side of the screen shows the permitted layout of the house, including the oversized 1-car garage, and behind it, a media room, restroom, and laundry facility area to the main residence. And the proposal is to convert this media room into a bedroom, and that would bring the house to a 3-bedroom residence. The San Mateo County zoning regulations requires 2 covered parking spaces for a house with 2 or more bedrooms. And the zoning regulations also allows exceptions to the parking standards with a finding that the establishment, maintenance, and or conducting of the off-street parking facilities as proposed are as nearly in compliance with the requirements as are reasonably possible. The requirements being the 2 covered parking spaces. And so just again, the images here, the site plan on the left-hand side and the floor plan on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, the blue shaded area, if you can see my mouse scrolling over it, is the permitted footprint of the house currently. This is a 5,800 square foot parcel. And the existing permitted house footprint includes a non-conforming 4-foot left side setback, where 5 feet is the minimum required, and a conforming 5-foot right side setback. Again, 5 feet being the minimum requirement for side setbacks in this zoning area. And the existing driveway, which will be maintained, that is 20 feet by approximately 35 feet in length, and adequate for to provide off-street parking, just not covered parking. The existing permitted footprint does not leave space on the property to be able to provide further covered parking than the 1-car garage that you see here, without needing exceptions to setback standards, because any covered parking would need to maintain the 5-foot setbacks, and covered parking requirements does not allow tandem parking, being parking, 1 car in front of the other. So there is no reasonable room on the site, given the existing development, to be able to bump the development footprint out in order to create a second covered compliant parking space on the property. And so with that, staff is here this evening to seek a recommendation from the North Fair Oaks Community Council to the Community Development Director on the proposed off-street parking exception that's been presented here, the case number being PLN 2021-00250. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you. And I'll stop sharing now.
Are there any questions from council members for Summer? I do not see any hands raised. Do we have any public comment on this matter?
If anyone has a public comment, please use the raise hand feature. Okay, I don't see anyone on my side. Victor, is there anyone with a public comment on your side?
Thanks, Jennifer. I don't see any at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Okay, quick question, Summer. Has there been any input from the neighbors with regard to this exception?
Staff has not heard any comments from neighbors.
Okay. No council comment, no public comment. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the off-street parking exception for 716 2nd Avenue.
I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion.
Aye. Aye. Sorry.
Aye.
I'm sorry, through the chair. There is a
Yes.
requirement we do a roll call vote for this.
Thank you very much, Tim. Let's do a roll call vote. Apologize.
Okay. Chair Brooks Esser,
Aye.
Vice Chair Juan Carlos Prado,
Aye.
Councilmember Beatriz Cedrillo, absent. Councilmember Johnny Gillespie, absent. Councilmember Linda Lopez,
Aye.
Councilmember Everardo Rodriguez,
Yes.
Councilmember Jennifer Ruiz,
Aye.
Councilmember Blair Whitney,
Yes.
Youth Councilmember Gabriela Ake,
Aye.
and Youth Councilmember Citlali Corencita absent. Okay. Thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Next item number 5 is an update on the post 4th of July update on the fireworks from 4th of July. The presentation is going to be by Lieutenant Mark Myers of the Sheriff's Office of San Mateo County. Lieutenant Myers, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Jennifer, do I need to share my screen?
If you would like, but I can share my screen as well.
Oh, no,
Whatever
I
you
got it.
prefer.
I got it. I got it set up
Okay.
here.
Sounds good.
Just get it on full screen here. Can you guys see that, or is it?
Can you make it bigger? Oh, there we go.
There we are.
That good?
That's great.
All right. Sorry about that. Okay, real quick. I'll just give you a quick after action review of the 4th of July. I went out that night for a couple hours and it was interesting. It was pretty much off the hook. That night, public safety dispatch received 230 calls in all of our jurisdictions for fireworks complaints. 63 of those calls were specifically in North Fair Oaks. Comparing that back with last year, we had 167. Unfortunately, we went to a new CAD system, so I wasn't able to break down how many calls were in North Fair Oaks, but I would assume that it was probably less than the 63 that we had this year. Something I am happy about is this year we had no reported gunfire with ShotSpotter. Everything was still, unfortunately, though, fireworks related. A total of 7 citations were issued over the 4th of July weekend in all of our jurisdictions that were fireworks specific. In North Fair Oaks, 4 of these were issued, including 2 citations for the new county ordinance. And I can talk about, or anyone who has questions on that later, I can answer those. What we basically did is we did a joint operation with Redwood City. We planned this out a couple months in advance, where we started doing the education with social media, the door hangers, the street signs, letting people know that fireworks are illegal and we will be out there trying to enforce it. And it does with the new ordinance have $1,000 fine. The night of the 4th of July, we put an additional 8 deputies out, 4 cars with 2 deputies in each car. Redwood City deployed about the same, specifically for their only task was to respond for fireworks calls in our jurisdiction, as well as the surrounding Redwood City jurisdiction. We also were able to use one of our newest unmanned aerial vehicles. Unfortunately, it was so new that it didn't have the proper FAA certification to fly around, so we had to keep it in a fixed position down by about 8th and Fair Oaks. But next year we'll be up and running with that, and I believe that will really allow us to zoom in and find out what the problem residences are and have a little more enforcement action in that capacity without having to drive down the street. Like I said, initially 5, 6, 7 o'clock, pretty light. We had a couple calls. And then unfortunately, as soon as it got dark, it began. And it was still in the same problem areas, the 500-600 blocks of Stanford, Hampshire, Warrington, and the Halsey area around there. And I drove down the streets and everything like that. And it's unfortunate. It's the problems we have with fireworks is no one sets them off when we're there. So as soon as we round the corner, everyone just kind of looks and smiles at us and waves. And I can smell the gunpowder in the air and everything else. You can see the debris everywhere. But as soon as we round that corner and we're out of view, they're lighting the fireworks off again. And also, too, it's unfortunate that, it's all neighborhoods out celebrating. So I get it. And no one wants to, point the finger at the neighbor and go, hey, they're setting off the M80s or whatnot. So I think moving forward, with some of the technology we've been able to identify some of the problem houses. So maybe next year, what we'll do is we'll specifically go out to those residences and kind of give them a pre-warning, like, hey, this time, last year we were able to identify and it's basically ShotSpotter and some other technology. that the majority of the calls for fireworks, or that we were able to locate the actual explosions, occurred either in your driveway or in front of your house. And I can work with the district attorney as well as maybe county council to see what we could do as far as modifying the county ordinance to see if we can make it a little easier to enforce. Unfortunate, it's tough when you have these large gatherings with the groups and everything like that, you know, and we do catch someone with the firework, the homeowner can easily say, hey, I didn't know he was there. And then that kind of negates the enforcement side of the county ordinance. Going forward here, like I said, we were able to reduce a lot of the gunfire, which I think is a real big win. We conducted the hotspot trainings. We educated everyone on the new county ordinance. Like I said, ShotSpotter also has recently been detuned, or actually retuned, before we would get some fireworks notifications. Now they're really emphasizing that while they can detect fireworks, the primary use of ShotSpotter is to identify the discharge of firearms. So with ShotSpotter, we kind of got to go back after the actual event has happened and reprogram it to find out where all the fireworks are going off. So right now it's currently just tuned for gunfire, but we can still pull all that data, but it's more, we have to go back to the office and pull it up. We can't get it real time like we would if they were firing off a firearm. Like I said, we still have the continued same problems areas around the 5-600 block of Warrenton and Fair Oaks. So as far as next year, I think we're going to try and concentrate on identifying those key addresses. It's probably in the area, it's probably 4 or 5 or 6. One is a problem house when I was out there 10 years ago, so it still hasn't changed. But I think if we kind of preload it, target the residents where they're having the continual parties every year, year after year, and kind of go about it that way, I think we'll be a little more successful. And then I just want to let everyone know we conducted an auto ped sting, separate from fireworks. We conducted an auto ped, the pedestrian sting on Middlefield at 2nd and 4th on Monday. It was in conjunction with CHP and the sheriff's office. We had a lot of our motorcycle units out there, and we were able to cite or issue 87 citations for drivers failing to yield to pedestrians in the roadway. And a couple, about a month before that, we hosted one, and it was similar. It was about 67 citations. So I hung out there for a while, and it's pretty, I mean, it's bad. We had some close calls where I thought one of our CSOs was going to get hit, but I really think we put it out on social media. And I think we're going to continue to do it just with the traffic coming and getting back to normal and all the construction. People really got to pay attention on Middlefield. So hopefully in another month or so, we can do another such operation. And they're very successful. And I think it sends a good message to the driving public that when they're going down Middlefield, they really got to pay attention and watch for people in the crosswalks. And then if anyone has any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for Lieutenant Myers from the council? I see Juan Carlos with your hand up. Go ahead, Councilmember Prado.
Yeah, I happen to live on one of those hot spots that the officer had mentioned on Warrington, and it was ongoing. And as officer mentioned, when law enforcement is called, they see law enforcement coming down the street. But it's always the same houses. I've been living here for a number of years, and it's not only 4th of July, and it's always the same addresses. So it's not very hard to find out who are the consistent violators of this. So I hope that we continue to improve next year with further patrolling and further technology. And I hope we continue to improve.
Yeah, and I also forgot, I failed to mention, I'm sorry, I apologize. And this just isn't a North Fair Oaks issue. I'm up in San Mateo. I heard it up here. My boss was in San Carlos, and he was calling me going, he can hear it from EPA. We also tried to do we've identified the majority of the high grade fireworks, the stuff that's making the real loud noises is all coming from out of state. They had a big seizure bust at the Nevada border. And I forget how many tons they had, but we've clearly identified the problem stuff that we're seeing is coming in from out of state. Our crime suppression unit set up a sting, and we're able to do a series of undercover purchases with an individual out of the city. They were able to seize, I think it was like 8,500 pounds of fireworks, as well as $1 million. So unfortunately, it's a very lucrative deal that they got going on. And, you know, once again, people are going out and actively buying this stuff. It's not like we're delivering it to them, or it's being delivered to them. So I think next year we really got to identify and front load it and try and go maybe a more regional effort to try and, you know, work with some of the fire marshals to see how we can prevent this stuff from actually coming in the state. I think that's truly the only way you're going to get some of the large caliber mortars and the stuff that really, you know, causes concern, you know, out of the hands of these people.
Councilmember Lopez, Linda, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Lieutenant Myers. I do have a question. When the sheriff's office is patrolling areas, do you ever get out of the car? Is there any walking around the hot spots? If you know where they are and they come up year after year, this is only a once a year kind of event. Does that happen or not? Do you guys walk around?
Well, generally, we have so many calls backed up that we can only do a drive-by. You know, if we're going to take enforcement action, unfortunately, there's a lot of crowds of people at this place. And I don't want to put my officers at risk for trying to make an arrest on fireworks. That's just, you know, going to be a misdemeanor slap on the wrist. But even if we get out and walk, it stops for a short period of time. And then as soon as we leave it, it goes. But we're trying to kind of avoid, I mean, it's ultimately, I know it's a public nuisance problem. Unfortunately, it's 4th of July and you got a lot of families out there and a lot of good people just trying to have fun. Unfortunately, they're lighting off fireworks, but I don't want to come down the block with 10 or 15 deputies and kind of be like an invading army trying to confiscate fireworks. So we try and find a good balance. And like I said, when we drive down the block too, you know, I wasn't getting flagged down by people going, hey, it's over there, it's over there. So, you know, it kind of takes the neighborhood to come together and go, hey, you know, it's these guys at the corner or that guy over there has got one. It's kind of our take on it.
Yeah, I think though, and it's not a question, it's a comment. I think community policing, which is actually having sheriffs actually walk around in neighborhoods, it's been done before in North Fair Oaks under Ike Ortiz, under, oh my God, Horsley, under Don Horsley. So, I mean, it's been practiced and it's, I wish you all would bring it back, you know, and it's not about having a big group of sheriffs walking down the street, but it's about building those relationships. And so when 4th of July does come around, then the people have a face, you know, and a contact, and they can, I don't know. It's just that we go through it every year, right? And I know you're all new ways to deal with it, but I'll just throw my 2 cents in there.
No, I totally love and I enjoy it when the deputies go out and walk the beat. Unfortunately, just on 4th of July, it's a little tough to, it's just, I mean, we're literally, it's just call to call to call. So, well, I love the idea. Unfortunately, 4th of July is just a real tricky time to do it, but I'm going to encourage everyone, all of our deputies to try and get out and get on the beat, walk Middlefield Road, just walk the neighborhoods. So yes, I totally agree and like that area. Just unfortunately, 4th of July is kind of a tough time to do it.
Yeah, thank you anyway. Thank you.
Councilmember Rodriguez, you have a question? I think you're on mute, Ever.
I thought I'd click on the unmute, but thank you, through the chair. Thank you, Lieutenant. I've heard that the Menlo Park Police Department had a marked decrease in incidents, in part because of the emphasis that they had on community policing. So this goes back to what Councilwoman Lopez was emphasizing on. But, you know, in that regard, I wonder, what was the collaboration like with the Redwood City Police Department?
How we worked with Redwood?
Yeah, because I heard that county was working alongside or collaborating with the Redwood City Police Department to deter fireworks. Is that correct, or
Well,
am I mistaken?
specifically on the 4th of July, we teamed up with Redwood and actually had 2 of our cars and 2 of their cars on a separate channel, specifically responding to fireworks only calls. They weren't going to anything else, no domestic violence or calls or anything like that, specifically fireworks. So that's how we worked jointly with them. We're also concerned about fireworks, not only in Fair Oaks, but especially in the Emerald Hills areas and the other incorporated areas where there is a high fire danger. So we had to put a car up there just to ensure nothing bad happened there. But we worked with Redwood for like the last 2 months as far as coming up with a game plan. And we still have they have the same problems that we do. It's their citation numbers were low as well. And they're going call to call. And like I said, it's very difficult to come around that corner and just catch someone with a firework in their hand right when they're lighting it off. So, but we did for about 2 months. We worked, we had several briefings with them, with their command staff. We sent out a joint message with Redwood City, Menlo Fire, and us as far as the fireworks enforcement. They have a similar city ordinance as just like our county ordinance. So we've been working with them for about the past 2 months. And they had similar issues that we had too. So.
Thank you. And when will the drone be ready to be utilized as a tool to deter or to find out, some of the culprits?
We just got the drone is ready. Unfortunately, due to its size and capability, it needs because it is also new, it needs to have a new FAA registration. So they're in the process right now of doing that. It's not a very long process. And then once we have that, that drone has a lot longer flight time and capability. The cameras on it are much better. So we'll have that. It should probably be ready within a month.
And what would the process be like? For example, the drone will be taking a photo or notifying you immediately, or how would it work?
Oh, no. Well, our thing was we were going to use it for enforcement. So you could literally see where if they're setting them off in the street, you could see actually who it is. And then that would make it easier for us when we do come down the street to identify the suspect who was actually setting off the fireworks.
I see. Thank you. Yeah, I think in general, I get the sense because I got several complaints in this regard from the community, from community members, as well as, I saw many complaints on Nextdoor in this regard. And I think the escalation of concern from the general public is related to the drought and how this time around fireworks pose a bigger threat in this regard. So I guess everyone is, on high alert, not only because of the dogs that they have and, all the nuisances that may come out of it. But in addition to that, I think the danger has escalated as well. So, but thank you very much for your presentation.
Councilmember Whitney, I see your hand up there.
Yeah, it's not an enforcement question, just a comment. I think it's an attractive alternative if there's a community event that people can go to, like Shoreline down in Mountain View. And in past years, I think they've done it at the Port of Redwood City. If we had a nice big park in North Fair Oaks, it'd be nice to set up semi-professional grade fireworks, and that gives people an alternative, and that's a healthy, family-friendly outlet. You can barbecue and meet your neighbors and do all that stuff. So it's just like kind of a goal that we work toward, not just banning and punishing people, but we can allow room for celebration. We can find a way to, accommodate it as a community by having a professional display that's safely done over the water, maybe.
Yeah, I think too, once next year, once you got the parade back and the fireworks show back, because there was no fireworks shows in the county, maybe in San Bruno, I'm not sure, but at least nowhere in the South County, no professional productions. And I think truly once we get back to normal and people can go watch fireworks, hopefully we'll have less of the desire to put on these, private shows.
Okay, do we have any other comments or questions from council members? I see none. Is there any public comment?
Okay, I see Gabriela Valencia with the public comment. Okay, Gabriela, once you see the timer starting, you may start sharing your public comment. Okay, you may start. Gabriela, you're still there? Okay. Did I hear her?
Doesn't look like she's on mute.
Yeah.
There's something.
Gabriela, would you still like to share your public comment?
She says yes in the chat, but we still cannot hear her.
Yeah, she. Yeah, so her microphone is on. Okay. Yeah, Gabriela, do you just want to try to say something just to try out the mic?
We can't hear her.
You can submit a public comment as well.
Yeah, a written comment.
Written comment.
The email for that, Emma, could you put that in chat for Gabriela, please?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, we'll do that. I don't see any other public comment.
Yeah, I don't see anyone with a public comment. Victor, does anyone on your side have a public comment?
Thanks, Jennifer. I don't see any at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Back to you,
All
Chair.
right. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Myers, for your effort on this and your presentation tonight.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
You too. Next is a presentation on the Fifth Avenue Underpass Mural Project. That presentation is going to be given by Kent Mansky. Kent, the floor is yours.
It says number 6, rental assistance.
Did we, am I working off? I'm sorry.
Got moved again.
I'd be glad to go. I'm starting to bring my presentation online right now.
If that's okay with the subsequent presenter, that's fine with me. I apologize. I prepped for this meeting, and apparently the agenda has changed.
Yeah, it changed about 3 times.
Okay. Let's go ahead with Kent's presentation if we can.
Okay, can you confirm that I'm sharing screen?
Yes, you are, Ken.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be presenting the Fifth Avenue Underpass Mural Project, also referred to as the Healthy Community Murals. This is a project that's coming from Supervisor Warren Slocum's office, and there are individuals from CCNFO, the San Mateo County Arts Commission, and the San Mateo County Office of Arts and Culture on the committee. The project are community-inspired murals under the Fifth Avenue Bridge on 19 existing panels. The mural concept for Healthy Community was developed in 2017. So here's a view of the bridge, and the two below photographs are the cement panels underneath the pedestrian walkway where the 19 murals will exist. This is located in North Fair Oaks. The black rectangle shows the approximate location. The yellow line below the black rectangle is El Camino Real, and the white line above it is Middlefield Road. Here is a view of the 4 neighborhoods that use this pedestrian walkway, as well as all of North Fair Oaks, in order to commute across a town, an area, a community separated by the Caltrain tracks. Phase 1 of the North Fair Oaks beautification project is complete, and that was landscaping the center divide and sides of Fifth Avenue roadway. Phase 2, which we're working on now, and I will continue to talk about, the Fifth Avenue underpass murals. Phase 3, you see 3 green areas, 4 areas in each corner of this area. There is our ideas floating, and a lot of people stoked about the possibility of micro parks with community gathering areas and public art. Phase 3 would come after we complete phase 2. At the start of this project, I really appreciated this quote by Mike Callaghy. "I would like this project to be the gateway to North Fair Oaks and a destination for art." I saw Mike the other day and I reminded him of that, and he said, "I still feel strongly about that," quote. The Healthy Community Murals consist of one topic for each of the 19 mural panels. I'll read a few of them from the bottom up and then show this slide later on. Embrace diversity, respect ecosystems, promote youth participation, create intergenerational partnerships, share your stories, start a garden, cultivate creativity and enjoy the arts. So this is a culmination of quite a bit of team effort to come up with a list that represents really what we feel a community, a healthy community supports, develops, and shares. The benefits of the project include uniting a community divided by the Caltrain tracks. This upgraded corridor will encourage neighborhood cross-fertilization. It'll encourage walking and biking to transportation corridors of Middlefield Road and El Camino Real, serve as a gateway to downtown North Fair Oaks, beautify the area by reducing litter and graffiti, increase safety by reducing the perception that this corridor is unmaintained and scary, engage and educate the North Fair Oaks community on issues important to health and well-being, provide pride and a sense of ownership to the community, and encourage recreation and healthier habits. You can imagine how wonderful this area would be as an art park where one can walk and walk and walk, meet with people, and be part of a shared community. Community involvement is really the key to this project. And soon we will be outreaching for participation by the community and encourage people to join the Underpass Mural Project Committee, to attend our upcoming workshops, to volunteer to some of the many duties to work as a community and make this happen. And if anyone is so inclined, to donate to public art in North Fair Oaks. Key to us working with the community are 4 community workshops. This will bring the community together to address the ideas associated with the 19 mural topics. All of the things that we produce at these workshops will then be given to the selected muralist for inspiration. The muralist will then develop the 19 picture narratives based on the ideas that we as a community generated. Workshops 1 and 2 are small group workshops held in classes at schools, libraries, church, with organizations, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, so on, and neighborhoods.
The workshops are sequential. Each take about 30 minutes. The 2 workshops can be scheduled as a single 1-hour activity. Workshop 3 gets us all together as a large group workshop, potentially at the Fair Oaks Community Center and with live broadcast on the internet. At this workshop, 2 to 4 pre-selected mural artists will present their mural design proposals to the community. 1 artist will be selected to advance their proposal. And at workshop 4, once again, a large gathering, the final artist that was chosen will select their finished mural designs for feedback and fine-tuning before painting begins. Here's a brief snapshot of how we would like to conduct our workshops. We would like to be involve the community in generating ideas, learning how to make murals, and how to get ideas to the forefront. So at workshop 1, we'll be teaching brainstorming techniques, making lists based on the topic that the group or organization selected, and then making mind maps that help generate ideas for mural content and expand the conversation about the community strategy for that particular topic. Think about mind mapping as mental gymnastics. Workshop 2 will turn and focus on visual brainstorming, where the public will learn how to sketch ideas for visual storytelling. Examples on the left, thumbnail sketches to just get the wheels spinning. What are some possible images that we may want to see on that mural panel? And then turn those into mural panel sketching, where the public comes up with conceptual ideas, what they think would be valuable for each panel. Brief additional information. Our plan would be to send out a request for qualification. In other words, an open call to get as many artists to be interested as possible. From that pool, we would select 2 to 4 artists to submit proposals and give them a design proposal stipend. 1 artist would be selected from public input at workshop 3 to continue on with the project and finish the murals. The existing budget right now is approximately $80,000 to $90,000. And there's no shortage of other ideas we have for this project. We really are stoked at how community focused it is. And one of them I just have to mention is a healthy community coloring book, where perhaps the artist's pencil sketches for the project are turned into a coloring book, and all the effort by the community, all the lists that we made, and a narrative about this community developed mural can be published and distributed in the community. My contact information is listed there. And from here, I can forward your questions and inquiries to any of the incredible people that are on the Fifth Avenue Underpass Mural Project Committee. Looking ahead, although we're focusing right now only on phase 2, it's hard not to be excited about phase 3, where we're thinking about micro parks with artist-inspired benches and public art, a decorated bridge, possibly with cultural motifs, and temporary community murals on the upper levels. These would be panels that could be painted off-site by the community and then brought for display in Paseo Artistico, or perhaps we'll name it the Art Park. I thank you, and I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Kent. With that, are there any questions from council members? Councilmember Rodriguez, I see your hand, Deborah.
Yeah, thank you, Kent, for the presentation. I see that the plan has developed, and I'm happy to see that there is funding and that this project is coming to fruition. A couple of questions. I'm wondering how wide is going to be the net cast to invite artists to be making these murals.
When we put out call for entries for the Nico Berry mural near the Fair Oaks Elementary School and for the Jose Castro mural on Middlefield Road, we cast the net to the Bay Area and put in a clause there that we would be paying special attention, I'm not sure that was the words, to artists living in North Fair Oaks.
So the process is going to be similar to that?
To be determined. And if Graciela or Anna have anything to contribute to any of these questions, I welcome you. So we still have work to do, Council Member Rodriguez. And if you have a suggestion, now is the time to share it.
No suggestion. I'm just wondering, if the process had been defined already. But another question I have is there going to be a culturally relevant alignment alluding to the huge Latino population in terms of the themes? I know towards the end you mentioned some motives along the bridge, but I'm speaking about the panels themselves in the underpass.
Every one of these issues, 19 issues, affect everyone. And of course, they do affect different demographics differently. And I think those conversations are good conversations to have in our community workshops.
Sounds good. So there's nothing predetermined about the panels yet. That's what I should understand.
I don't recall any conversation to date where there was a suggestion that culturally they lean in one direction towards perhaps the Latinx population, because it accounts for 71% of our population. But I would not be surprised if that is emphasized because of both the conversations and the demographics of the workshop participants.
Yeah, can I add something? This is Ana Avendaño.
Yeah.
So I think, as part of our outreach to local community organizations, as Kent mentioned, like Boys and Girls Clubs, but all the other organizations that we have a wide list of potential community partners we're going to be reaching out to, and we welcome your input on that as well. But based on that, we're really going to focus on the people from the community of North Fair Oaks. And as Kent said, we are over 70% Latinx. So I think no doubt that those issues are going to come out as we discuss some of these topics. And it's also part of like the facilitator's role, right? To maybe have them consider thinking I'm trying to cultivate family, what that could look like for your families. What do your families look like? So it's about asking the right questions. So taking your feedback back as we prepare for facilitation of these community conversations, so that we can have that in mind. But for sure, I think that it's gonna come out because we're gonna be directly talking to the community members, and issue our race and cultural and history is gonna come out through those conversations.
Thank you, Ana. One last question, and I'll let someone else ask theirs. Is there going to be? I've noticed, walking at night. I've noticed that there's no lighting along the underpass. It tends to get rather dark I wonder if that is going to be added. And I understand that this may not be part of, the art that is being sponsored. But I guess I'm throwing that in as a suggestion, because obviously, when places are dark, they tend to be more or feel more unsafe, and so that's one suggestion. I wonder if you know anything about lighting being added by county.
I do not, but it is a very good suggestion. And although the committee is focused more on the art angle of it, this is a great opportunity for us to raise that issue with Supervisor Slocum's office as part of the budgeting process for this phase of the project.
Great, thank you.
Do we have any other questions from council members? Seeing none is, oh, excuse me, Blair, Councilmember Whitney, I see your hand up.
Oh, yeah. I was down in San Jose for the first time in a few years, and right where Alameda and Santa Clara Street go underneath 87, I noticed they did a really cool under the freeway lighting thing, and I hadn't seen that before. I think there may be some examples elsewhere in the country, but so my fellow council member brought up the lighting, and there's a way to like be really cool and artistic. But anyway, I just hope everyone has fun with it because I enjoy art, and whether I'm on a bike or on foot or stuck in a car, I think anything we can do to beautify is good. That's it.
Any other questions from council members? Do we have any public comment?
If anyone from the public has a public comment, please use the raise hand feature. Okay, I don't see anyone on my side. Victor, does anyone on your side have a public comment?
Thanks, Jennifer. I don't see any at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Victor. Back to you, Chair.
Okay, I actually see Councilmember Lopez. Linda, you have a question?
No, it's not a question. Excuse me. No, I would like to motion that the North Fair Oaks Council support the Fifth Avenue Underpass Mural project.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second that.
A second. Okay, we need a roll call vote for this.
Okay. Chair Brooks Esser,
Yes.
Vice Chair Juan Carlos Parado,
Yes.
and Councilmember Beatriz Cedrillo is absent. Councilmember Joanny Gillespie, absent. Councilmember Linda Lopez,
Yes.
Councilmember Everardo Rodriguez,
Yes.
Councilmember Jennifer Ruiz,
Yes.
Councilmember Blair Whitney,
Yes.
Youth Councilmember Gabriela Ake,
Yes.
and Youth Councilmember Citlali Corencita, who is absent. Thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Motion carries. That's terrific. Thank you very much for your presentation tonight, Kent. This is it's a really exciting project in an area that that I think will really benefit from the art that's going to go up there. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, everyone, for your support. We look forward to your participation.
Our final presentation this evening is the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. That presentation is going to be given by Anna Avenado of the Fair Oaks Community Center, Latrice Taylor of Samaritan House, excuse me, and Mark Nagalis of Project Sentinel. Anna, if you go first, the floor is yours.
I don't know if we discuss who's going to go first. Maybe Mark?
Well, Latrice,
Actually, Latrice. Oh, okay.
she's going to handle the tenant side. I'm going to handle the landlord side of things. So.
Evening. I am Latrice Taylor, Associate Director of Programs and Services from Samaritan House. Thank you very much for inviting us to be here to present to you. And I believe there's a PowerPoint presentation that I'm waiting for to be shared.
Okay. Here we go. There we go. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I do. Thank you. So, as you are already very well aware, the San Mateo County had federal funds that were designated to our county, approximately $47 million. And our county elected to go with using a statewide organization to administer these dollars. But just to start, we wanted everyone to know that the California COVID-19 Rent and Utility Relief Fund is now available. So just to tell you a little bit about how it works. First off, if anyone has experienced a financial hardship due to COVID-19 dating back to April 1 of 2020, if they have past due rent or utilities, and if it's a household income that is not more than 80% of the area median income, then next slide. San Mateo County residents may be eligible, based on those previous things I just said, to receive help from the state of California by applying directly to Local Initiative Support Corporation, which is also known as LISC. This program is for renters and landlords. So right off the bat, they can verify their eligibility immediately by visiting housingiskey.com or calling 833-430-2122. So what does that mean? If somebody goes onto their website, onto this website, we're starting with both the landlord and the renter can go on and submit an application. And it's very easy in that now they've narrowed it down, because I know in the past we've heard that it was taking 1 and 2 hours to apply. They've narrowed the time down to about 30 minutes. Next slide. So those folks who have computers, if they know how to manage the website, they can go directly on for themselves. And just a couple of things to know as a tenant, they're just asking for one thing of this list. That's a proof of income, 2020 tax return, 2020 W-2 or 1099-G if you're unemployed, pay stubs, or even proof of participation in a state or federal subsidy program, such as CalFresh or CalWorks. Also, you don't have to be in arrears for rent. You can actually apply for utilities alone. So that just means have your utility invoice or statement for any unpaid utility, water, trash, and internet bills after April 1, 2020. Next slide. Assistance for renters through this program, it does not qualify as income, because we know some people are concerned about that, but this is rent. So it's not going into anyone's pocket. This is really to pay rental arrears for those who were impacted by COVID-19. Also, it is not about your citizenship status. That is not something that is asked. No proof is required. It's really about I'm behind on my rent or utilities and getting that assistance. And even if you don't have any of the paperwork mentioned above, you don't have to worry about it. Most of the information on the website can be certified in the application with proof of identification. Next slide. So latest updates, because some things did change with the law. And on June 28th, our Governor Gavin Newsom did sign legislation AB 832, which made the following changes to the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, which you also hear as ERAP. So the eviction moratorium was extended to September 30th, 2021. Also now the reimbursements for rent are 100%. I know you heard about the 80% in the past and the landlords forgiving that 20%. Well, now it is 100%. And if any landlord did agree previously to that 80%, they did not have to do another application. LISC automatically topped off what the 20% was. So we were so grateful that a lot of landlords did agree, but now everyone is being, all those landlords are being paid in full. And again, utilities are included. This allows tenants to access rental funds directly also if the landlord still chooses not to participate. So we don't have to worry about percentages, but if the landlords say, I don't really want to be involved, tenants can still ask for the total amount due. And it ensures landlords can receive compensation even if their income qualified tenant has already vacated a unit. Because we know some of the tenants have self-evicted themselves, but if they want to go ahead and do their own application, they can still get all that rental arrears paid off, even if they don't live in that same unit. Next slide. So, need help or need information? Samaritan House is one of the local partners, but of course, we definitely wanted you to know about Fair Oaks because they are your local core agency in the Redwood City area and North Fair Oaks. Also, other official local partners of LISC are Nuestra Casa and Project Sentinel, and you'll hear from both Ana Avendano and Mark Nogales in just a second. But we also wanted you to know that there are additional community partners such as Yucca, Legal Aid, Community Legal Services and EPA, and SMC Association of Realtors. Because yes, people can go to the website and do it for themselves, but we also know that there are a lot of folks who don't even know about the program, so we're trying to do outreach. And a lot of people do need that extra help. If, say, I don't have a computer, I don't know how to turn a computer on, or maybe it's a language barrier, or maybe I'm just not sure. So call any of these partners, any agency, or anyone can help a tenant or landlord apply for this rental and utility subsidy. With that said, I'm gonna turn this over to Ana Avendano, and she'll explain exactly what's going on at Fair Oaks. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Again, Ana Avendano at the Fair Oaks Community Center. Happy to be here. And I just wanted to share somewhat how our process is going for the LISC application assistance so that you have an idea. And when you talk to community members, to let them know about our process. But first and foremost, like Latrice mentioned, we are here for community members that need assistance with the application. So we have been given 2 LISC assisters. These are folks that have been contracted for about 8 months or so. And they're going to be working with us. They've been working with us for the last couple of weeks. The role for the LISC assisters is really helping us prioritize those folks that need this LISC assistance. So one of our LISC assisters is really focusing on doing outreach, as Latrice mentioned. So we have a list of over 900 clients that we've previously assisted with our COVID-19 rental assistance fund. And so now this person is calling all of these folks to let them know about the Housing is Key application, encouraging them to apply if they still owe rent. And if they need help, letting them know we go ahead and make an appointment for them on the spot so that they can get assistance with the application. And then just giving more information about this resource to the community members. And then we have the other LISC assister who is working directly with clients, helping them apply online, completing the application on their behalf, or walking them through the process. A lot of what we're seeing is that a lot of the clients just need help navigating the system. You know, it's somewhat complicated if you're not familiar with the online systems. Uploading is also very difficult for some of our community members. So our LISC assister helps them, walks them through this process. And we also are helping both landlords and clients. We don't see as much landlords as we see clients, but we're still that resource for them. What I have seen is from the landlords, a lot of times they just need, they've already applied on their own and they just need us to reach out to the clients to encourage them to apply. So we do a lot of that liaison between the landlord and the client in this application process. And we also are seeing quite a few requests from clients that are that have already applied on their own, or maybe they went somewhere else and someone else helped them. But now they're requesting like a follow-up of like someone to help them again, like upload documents, or maybe they didn't have utility assistance in the first place and now they want to add that. So our LISCA sisters are helping folks follow up on their application process, let them know about their status. So those are just some of the things we're seeing. I do want you all to know that we are doing all of our services still over the phone. So no in person, but people can still walk into our main entrance right outside to drop off documents if they need, and we'll go ahead and scan them for them and upload them for them on their behalf. But yes, we are a resource for community members, and we have the staff in place that can really prioritize this, the Housing is Key LISC application. Thank you.
All right, so that's cue for me. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. 1 second. And can everyone see that?
Yes, we can.
All right,
Yes.
Thank you very much. So my name is Mark Nogales. I am the San Mateo County Outreach Coordinator for Project Sentinel. A show of hands, how many have heard of Project Sentinel?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, great. Fantastic. That's why we're here. We're here to let you know who we are, what services we provide, and how we can be a resource for you. So let's get started. Just really quick, Project Sentinel was established in 1971. We're a nonprofit agency. We actually have 3 different departments, but for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to be speaking from the tenant landlord department. The best way to describe my department is that we provide free counseling to both tenants and landlords about what your rights and responsibilities are. So as Latrice mentioned, she spoke about AB 832, which is an extension of SB 91, which extended the moratorium until September. And as Latrice mentioned, now oops, sorry. My mom's calling me. It pays 100% of unpaid rent, which is fantastic because previously it only paid up to 80% and the landlord had to waive 20% of the back rent. So hopefully this will entice even more landlords to participate now because they're going to get 100% of the arrears. It also, as Latrice mentioned, covers 100% of utilities. So if you're a landlord and you have a tenant that pays for utilities, know that this is also an option to help pay for utility bills that for tenants are behind. And also in terms of qualification, Latrice mentioned it earlier, if you're a tenant that's facing financial difficulties because you've been impacted by COVID, for example, you lost your job or your hours were reduced, or for example, you were taking care of a loved one that was affected by COVID, that's one qualification. The second qualification, as Latrice mentioned, is the household earnings, is if you're making 80% or less of the AMI. So for San Mateo County, this is what it actually looks like. So if you can see my mouse here, 80% of the AMI for a family of 4 is $146,350. So if you're a family of 4 and make at $146,350 or less, and you've been financially affected by COVID, you qualify to participate in an emergency rental assistance program. Now, Latrice kind of talked about from the perspective of tenants. I'm going to talk from the landlord's side, from perspective of when they are helping their tenants or applying themselves. So as a reminder, I always tell landlords that it's important for you to provide these 3 pieces of documents. The first document is the Notice of Civil Procedures. It basically explains what the rights and responsibilities of both the tenant and landlord during this time of the moratorium. The second is a 15-day notice. It basically says that you have 15 days to kind of take action if you don't want to get evicted, and that's pretty much saying you need to apply for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And then finally, the Declaration of Financial Distress, which basically says that if the tenant is signing this, they're signing it under penalty of perjury, stating that, again, they've been financially affected by COVID. And then just really briefly, this is what the notice of civil procedure looks like. It's actually in an updated form. The AB 832 actually added some new language to this civil procedure. And it also says that even as a landlord, if you provided this information previously, you have to provide this notice to your tenants by the end of this month. Here's the 15-day notice. To the left is actually the updated notice that covers for September 1st, 2020 to September 30th, 2021. And the one is the right is the previous from March 1st to August 31st of 2020. So you can tell that there's been, it's been significantly, the language has been kind of reduced to make it more streamlined. And then finally, here's the declaration form for financial distress for those tenants that need to sign this. Now, before the tenants, before the landlords apply, I always remind them that one of the documents that you need are a W-9 form, and then a lease or a rental agreement reflecting the renter's name, the address, and the monthly rent that's been due to them. They might ask this information, but it's not required off the bat, which is proof of ownership or property, including property deeds, mortgage notes, property tax statement, or a property, sorry, I can't read that last part, insurance statement. It's not required as when you apply, but it's good to have, because if you get a phone call from a case manager and they need additional documentation, it's good for the landlord to have these additional pieces of information ready to go. And so when I'm working with a tenant or a landlord, but in this situation, a landlord, I tell them that you need to go to the Housing is Key website, which is this right here, and this is what the page looks like. I like to kind of work with them step by step in the beginning, saying once you get to this homepage, this is the button that you need to click on. Then you want to click on I'm a landlord if you're a landlord, which will start the process for you to fill out the online application and then ask you to upload any documentation that is needed for you to fulfill your application. Now, as Latrice mentioned, one of the new legislative fixes is that, again, it's 100% paying the background, which is a game changer, I think, for a lot of folks. So now, again, this is enticing landlords to participate in the program so that they can get the arrears that's owed to them, and hopefully it wipes the debt clear for the tenants that are financially distressed. And again, it also helps pay for any utilities, example, water, electricity, or internet that the tenant is potentially on the hook for. So I like to tell the landlords, I still like to say this is kind of, in a sense, a joint application to work with your tenants if you can. If work in collaboration. Once the landlord submits the application, that the tenant could potentially be contacted by the state, work with that tenant so that they can work in collaboration with you to move the process even faster. Once both the tenant and the landlord submits the application, it gets reviewed by a case manager and then reaches out to either both the landlord or the tenant if additional information is needed. And then there's a second sign off by a quality control person. And then from start to finish, when we were on a call together with the state, they said it takes about 30 days from once you start the application process to completing, but we're hoping that's actually a lot faster now. So, and then, if you're a tenant, you can obviously go ahead and apply yourself in terms of trying to get that rental assistance. And so I like to also inform both the tenant and the landlord that, look out for an email from Neighborly Software, as that potentially could be an email from the state asking for additional information or for asking for your help in moving along the application process. And then I wanted to provide some county data really quickly. So this is as of July 11th. San Mateo County has requested about $77 million in rent relief. Out of that $77 million, $75 million was requested for rent, and about $2.1 million was requested for utilities. And then out of that $77 million, $15 million has already been obligated. And out of that $15 million, $6.5 million has been paid out to tenants and landlords. So we're hoping that these numbers increase, that we can have more individuals apply, because this is free money for the help are both our landlords and tenants. And presentations like this is really, really helpful to make sure that we inform both our landlords and tenants that are in this financial distress, that there is help out there. To please reach out to us to help you apply for this program, because it's so important right now to ensure that we can help both parties. And then finally, I'm sorry, and one of the last slides I have, again, is the legislative fixes. As Latrice mentioned, 100% back arrears paid. If you have a self-evicted tenant, meaning that the tenant left and is still on the hook for back rent, the landlord potentially could apply for that. We tell the landlord to keep in close contact with those tenants, that the self-evict, and again, to work with those tenants. And what's also important is just cause protections have been extended through September 30th, which is, for those who are not familiar with just cause, it basically means that if you are trying to terminate a tenancy, you have to provide just cause. And examples are if a landlord or the family of a landlord is moving back into the unit, if your unit is uninhabitable, meaning that it's unsafe for the person to live there, if there's going to be significant remodeling to the unit, we would recommend that you pull permits. And then fourth, if you're taking the unit out of the rental market, meaning that you're potentially going to sell it, these are what's called no fault terminations, meaning that the tenant had nothing to do with the ending of the tenancy. At fault terminations are still allowed, which is kind of the best way to describe it is that the tenancy ending is caused by the tenant. For example, they did damage to the property, or there was something illegal in terms of activity, or they didn't pay for rent and it had nothing to do with COVID. And those are still allowed under the moratorium. And then finally, I wanted to provide these important phone numbers. So that number is the call center. For those individuals who have questions about their application, go ahead and call the call center and get some assistance from the case managers that have been assigned to your file, or if you just need some additional questions answered. Also, if you're interested in getting either like Project Sentinel or Samaritan House, or any other partners to help you with the application process, that's the phone number to the booking center. And then finally, we at Project Sentinel, we do have a dedicated email for those interested in learning about the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And we also provide more in-depth videos in terms of the application process, in terms of if you're interested in learning about kind of each step of the way. We also have that video where you can learn about the process. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that folks may have. Thank you very much.
Floor is open for questions from council members. I see. Let me see. Councilmember Rodriguez, ever go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Latrice, Anna, and Mark for coming to give us your presentation. We appreciate the time. Is there help in languages other than English, particularly over the phone?
Yeah, so if an individual needs Spanish assistance, we do have a staff member that specializes in that and is happy to provide assistance to that individual.
I believe all of the local partners and especially Fair Oaks, we all have Spanish-speaking employees who are able to answer any questions.
For example, the people who live here in North Fair Oaks, are they advised to go directly to the Fair Oaks Community Center?
Or call.
Or call,
Call directly.
So that's the preferred.
Yeah, they can call us and then we'll try to encourage them to do it on their own. We'll give them the resource. But if they say, no, we need someone to walk us through it, then we'll add them to our application appointment list.
Great. And my second question is, once a person submits an application, particularly renters, what's the average time that it takes to get an answer?
If I recall correctly, once the application is submitted, there is an email that comes that says, we received your application, give us time to get in contact with you, and a case manager will be assigned. I believe now it is less than a month. It takes less than a month. But if a person calls even to ask, now they're being very responsive in contacting people back to say, yes, this is where you are in the process. They've been speeding up their response time. List has definitely. And then even if they don't respond, they can contact Fair Oaks, Samaritan House, all the core agencies, I should say. We all have LISC workers, and we are the ones who actually can interact with LISC directly to try and get an answer if that client cannot.
Great, thank you. When was this program launched?
It was March 15th, because I remember on that Sunday we had to have a quick training and then it was go for it.
Right. It was established under SB 91, which was original, which created the emergency rental assistance. But then AB 832 is what extended the moratorium to the end of September.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it was told to us by all the core agencies were meeting with HSA. And when we were told that they were going to go with LISC, then it was February that several of us put in for becoming LISC partners. And then we were told in March, we've got to go. The federal government wants it started now. So that's how it all came to be for our county. Excuse me.
And I'm just curious, have you seen any uptick on participation from landlords?
Well, I would say that there's a Patrice, help me answer. Okay. I would say that the problem that we saw previously was that there was a lot of kind of red tape, right, Latrice, in terms of the application process, where let's say a tenant would apply, and then for whatever reason the landlord wouldn't participate, or the other way around. The landlord would apply and then the tenant wouldn't do it. So we would see the numbers really, really low in the beginning, and that was a concern for us. And so Latrice and I think Anna as well, we're all a part of this phone call in the county on Mondays, where we get the updates. So that numbers that I provided with you was the numbers I was given last week. And so we're slowly seeing the uptick in terms of participation. But, this is only through September, so we really need to ramp up to get the outreach out there, to get more people participating, because we know there are people out there who don't know about this program and we would benefit from it. And so having more of these presentations, and then having you as community leaders to reach out to your residents to let them know that if you hear that they're hurting or they're not able to catch up on rent, that there is assistance for them.
Right. Yeah, no, and I am one of those examples where, I was familiar with the first iteration of this program, but I wasn't, familiarized with this second iteration. So definitely an opportunity to share these, more widely throughout the community. So
I think a lot of people were also waiting for to start hearing that it was working, because it was a fast start. It was go now, and so a lot of it wasn't built, and so it was slow. The communication was slow, even with us, much less with our clients. But now that the time has gone from a 2 to 3 hour application to just 30 minutes, instant emails, calls back. I got a case manager. I know exactly who and what. Now money is starting to get out into the community as well. And so I think now it's starting to convince people that this is really working. Plus, one thing that wasn't said, there is going to be more of a publicity campaign. I don't know if you've even seen on local news. A lot of times the governor's office has been putting out there about the affordable, how the ERAP program, and we're starting to hear from people who actually are getting checks and from landlords. So the county itself is working on the whole publicity campaign to get it out to hard to reach communities who may not know about this.
I think also there was maybe a mistrust, right? That in terms of the program, like I think a lot of folks didn't believe that they were actually receive free money without a catch, right?
Or the undocumented community.
Right, and that's the other thing.
That was another one. Yeah.
So I think the more outreach we can do to inform residents, the more buy-in we can get from the community.
Well, thank you very much.
Councilmember Lopez, Linda?
Yes. Mark, my question is for you.
Sure.
I was surprised to see on your PowerPoint about the landlords that can apply for former tenants.
Yeah, that's one of the legislative pieces.
Is there any benefit at all that a former tenant can get if that landlord applies for them?
Yes. So in October, for that money that is still owed, landlords can go to small claims court, right? So if they are still in contact with those tenants, that's a big deal, right? And so being able to wipe out that debt for those tenants that self-evicted is a huge deal. Also, it helps the landlords out too, because they lost out on thousands of dollars on rent that potentially they needed for their income. And one of the things that I didn't mention here is that if you're in UD court, this is one of the other legislative fixes I forgot to mention. If you're in UD court, which is unlawful detainer court, you potentially can get out of it if you apply through the emergency rental assistance program. So it's actually, they're encouraging you to apply.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right, though. A lot of people don't know about this program, so the word has to get out there. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. It sounds like they've really streamlined it.
Yes.
And it should be easier to go through the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from council members? Is there any public comment on this agenda item?
If anyone has a public comment, please use the raise hand feature. Victor, is anyone on your side have a public comment?
Thanks, Jennifer. I don't have any at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes the agenda for tonight. Thanks so much to the presenters. Thank you also to the members of the public who attended and participated this evening. Angel, Becca, Chris, Ed, Jessica, and John. As always, thank you to the county staff, Jennifer, Victor, Tim, Emma, Justin, Maggie, and the team from Penn TV for their support. A reminder, we're taking a summer recess in August, so our next meeting is going to be a study session on September 6th, 2021. That's going to be a community workshop for the revision to the housing element of the county general plan. So mark your calendars for September 16, and I would take a motion for
Well, through
adjournment.
the chair, though, why are we doing a recess?
We're taking a summer recess, lack
I've
of
never heard of
agenda,
that.
lack of critical agenda items, Linda, and I thought we could use a break and come back in September for that.
Lack of critical agenda items. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Yes, second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. We will talk in September.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Good night.
Good night.